Hi, my name is Christina Heimstead, and I'm here to talk about money. Money is a huge faux pas to talk about, however, in our society, which is more or less capitalistic. It's probably important to talk about, and it's not something we learn in school. Nobody teaches you about credit scores. Nobody teaches you about balancing a checkbook. Go ask grandma and grandpa if you don't know what that means. Or how about opening an account? There's just a lot of things that people don't talk about, which is really unfortunate because it's a lot of how this world works. You want to go buy a car, you want to go buy a house, chances are you can't go in and buy it all cash, in which case you have to get a loan, and you got to figure out how to qualify for one of those. So there's just a lot of things that I think people don't talk about. I think people are also afraid to talk about a lot of these things post-recession, or there are other extenuating circumstances I think a lot of people find themselves in. For instance, there was one girl who applied to rent one of our apartments who supposedly had a boyfriend who ruined her credit, and she never bothered to fix it, even 7 years later. And I can't rent to somebody with no credit history. I need to see that they pay their bills. She paid for everything cash, rode a motorcycle, and thought it was okay. Which it's not for us. And everybody functions differently, but it doesn't work that way for us. But I think that's just all valuable lessons that we ought to learn about. Millennials are less invested across the board than every generation prior. I think a lot of us feel like we got burned as a result of the recession, and are just afraid. And I have friends, for example, who just want to buy a house and die in it, which good for them, but that doesn't fit their personalities. That's not going to be them. So they got to figure out what more to do. The other thing too is your money sitting in a bank doesn't do a whole heck of a lot. It's not earning that much interest, and the amount of money you would have to have squirreled away in a bank to live off the interest is insane. And less than 1%, if you live off 1% of what you have in the bank on an annual basis, probably not. Especially not when you account for inflation. With the Fed's target of 2% year over year, that doesn't even account for the increasing prices in real estate at 6 to 7% year over year growth. If your money's just in the bank, you're basically losing money. We don't really have much of a choice. We got to figure this stuff out. And I think a lot of us do have equity. It's just a matter of figuring out how to make it work better for us, whether it's stocks, real estate, or what have you. And I think at the end of the day, money is a tool. And I don't think enough people have that perspective. And it's not to say that it's right or wrong, but I think that if people took on that perspective, it would change the way that they think about it. They wouldn't look at these pro football players and superstar musicians that do a gig, play on a team, and have these insane contracts where somebody decides, yep, you're worth $10 million, so here you go. Here's your check today, all cash, go cash it, you're good to go. Most of us don't have that opportunity, so we got to figure out how to make it work for us. That being said, my dad is a financial advisor. My mom has an MBA in marketing. I, on the other hand, double majored in psych and philosophy, and I'm thankful I did because it was a wonderful experience. And I think I learned a lot, and it was the right fit for me. But going back to money, didn't learn about money in school, and I think that I want to take this time and opportunity to talk to everybody about it, and what I've learned, and talk to other people who have lived and learned and run really successful businesses. Here in Orange County, that's a lot of people. It's not cheap to live here, so a lot of people have to figure out how to do it, whether you want to go with the weeds perspective of it's doctors, lawyers, and business executives. Obviously, there's a large number of those, but I think people would be surprised to learn how many small businesses are really profitable and can sustain a family or other routes of making things work, whether it's a side hustle or something or other. I just know that one of the things that my dad never wanted to operate based on was reducing your costs. So these people who freak out over, you left your bedroom light on, you're not even in there, go turn it off. It's like, okay, by reducing your electric bill by $10 a month, sure, that helps, but $10 a month isn't going to make the difference between buying a house and not buying a house. I mean, that's a cup of coffee twice a week, or, well, twice a month, we'll say. So he always looked at everything from the front end of how do I make more and not have to worry about every dollar going out. And I think that there's an awful lot of people who just have equity and they're just not learning how to better manage it and make it work for them and to fund their lifestyles, whatever those might be. But I think it's something we could all benefit from learning, myself included. I tried investing, failed, lost 20%. Hopefully I'll be able to do it again and not make that same mistake. But I think there's something to be learned across the board, and I think there's just opportunities that we could all be taking advantage of and hopefully learning more about, and especially nowadays with how things have changed and what people have access to, whether it's books or videos or what have you. There are so many different platforms you can utilize to learn about all of this. And I don't by any means want to promote a one-size-fits-all, because we all have different lives. We have different lifestyles, we have different expectations, different hopes, different goals. It's just different. And I think there's more variety and more opportunity to better design our own lives. You just need to get a better grasp and better understanding of financial independence and what that means for everybody. But I want to talk about a range from lending to tax laws to small investing to large investing to real estate to investing in businesses, partnerships. I mean, there's so many different things to talk about, because let's face it, you can't get away from any aspect of money. It's kind of always there. But hopefully this is a good opportunity for people to learn and talk about what's going to work for them. Because it doesn't just have to be some 60s or 80s cocktail party where everybody's standing around talking about what they're investing in that week. They can be how to promote a lifestyle. For instance, I have a friend who owns a condo, lives in Germany. Really enjoys traveling, doesn't travel and burn 10 grand a week when she goes. But she's had a good opportunity to see a lot of different things. Or, how does somebody retire at 40? One of my best friends, his dad worked for a large company and decided that's what he wanted to do, retired early, was able to help raise kids and live a comfortable life. And that was just different. And they have very, very different from how I grew up, but very cool way to live. But everybody's different. Like, my mom's got a friend whose husband would probably be more than happy to retire and just go fish and hunt and have a great time. My dad, on the other hand, would lose his marbles. It's just not something he can do. And there's some people who operate that way, happy to sail off into the sunset, others who aren't. And if you are ready to sail off into the sunset, what do you need in order to make that work? And what's your life look like? How comfortable are you? How old are you going to live till? I mean, that's one of my favorite ads is, I wish I can remember his name, but he's a professor out of some Ivy League who partnered with, I believe it was Pacific Life, Prudential, somebody. and really threw it in people's faces in terms of how much they were saving for retirement. And it's one thing to just save that money, but it's a whole other thing to make it work for you in some capacity. I mean, heck, I would love a whole real estate portfolio all my own, so I just get checks coming in every month with little to no concern. I mean, that sounds awesome to me, but that may sound terrible to other people. I mean, I've been landlord and property manager for some time now, and it's something I feel very comfortable with. Not everybody is the same. I know of other people who just disgusted with the idea of operating that way, but everybody's different. And that's kind of the wonderful rainbow that makes up our society. It's just a matter of getting a better understanding and learning the rules of the game. For instance, I think one of the things I really want to talk about next is tax laws. There have been some major changes. We're coming up to elections and voting season, so I think it's something we got to talk about. But whether you're young and in school or on the verge of retirement, I think there's a number of different lessons available to all of us in getting a better understanding of how to operate and how to manage your money and how to live your life. Like I said, everybody's different, so this isn't a one-size-fits-all, and hopefully this is a good resource and a good tool for people. Because I think people should just know. And I want to know too. I think we should all learn and know. I don't expect to be Warren Buffett out of all this, but if other people can learn to fix their credit scores as opposed to burying their head in the sand and just waiting for it to get better, it's not really a choice. It's not really an option if you live here. But yeah, part of it's, I want better candidates, but the other side of it is I think we should all just learn the rules of the game here. So hopefully this is once a week. Hopefully I have the opportunity to talk to other people and their stories of how they got started, because let's face it, looking from point A to point B can be awfully scary or just seem insurmountable of how do you get there. I think that all the time about my parents and how they are where they are now. It's always one of the things I talk to about my mom is everybody thinks that if they haven't met my dad, that he must be way older than what he actually is, and then they meet him and they're like pleasantly surprised that he's not some old geezer. He was just smart, and I think we should all be smart. There's no reason for us not to. But welcome to the first of hopefully a lifetime series. We've talked about money and getting better at investing and everybody living a more comfortable, happy life. Thanks for watching. See you next week.